The King of Kings DLC added quite a bit of content for the Middle East nations, especially Persia. And the major bummer about Persia is that unless there's a player in charge of that area, it's usually never even going to form, and all the dope content that was created for it isn't realized. But what if it was? What if Persia existed in 1444 and was a big beefy boy? Well, stick around because that is what we are going to check out today. Just look at the absolute size of this unit, this absolute lad of a nation. Incredible. You'll love to see it, folks. Persia has a nice map color, but they also have a #2 great power status here right behind the Ming, and England is almost half of their development. So yeah, Persia's in a good spot. They're actually not over governing capacity in 1444, just barely, and their missions are going to push them towards some pretty solid stuff. If you don't know, the King of Kings mission tree for Persia is pretty strong. It's pretty strong. Plenty of claims over in the Caucasus, making friends with AQ, and they also have some claims over here in northern India. Actually, quite a lot of claims. They also decided to ally Yas because reasons, I suppose. And just a few short years in, Kashmir and Ladakh getting decked and getting occupied. So safe to say Persia is going to expand into northern India, though I assume that this is considered India, Kashmir. I think this is actually like Pakistan, to be fair, but either way, they are pushing their way into the region. Now the march continues, this time into Delhi, who was annexed by Sirhind, their subject, and then reformed. They also conquered some land over here, most of which is claimed by the Persians. So safe to say they're going to be pushing in. They've also got some land over here involved in the war, might take that. And they recently conquered this province over here from these guys. They are warning the QQs. So yeah, it looks like Persia is definitely doing some domination. They also decided to ally Makhra down here. So I'm sure that that will help them in the long term. We'll see how that goes though. Meanwhile, Otto has annexed Kandar, though they actually had a bunch of land occupied, which was moderately hilarious. They're in the process of annexing Epirus, so you got to keep an eye on that. Mali is absolutely in collapse. Anybody who has played Origins knows Mali is literally the embodiment of pain in EU4, and the beautiful pink Kabu has popped out, and I am a huge fan of this color. Probably my favorite color nation of any nation in EU4. Right after Dahomies, you know, the absolute Giga Chans who click that join button below the video and support the channel. Those are the ones that I love the most. Oh yeah, no signs of slowing down. They're snaking through Delhi and pushing along the Himalayas. So that's pretty good. It's pretty quiet over here on the Western Front, but the Eastern Front, lots of conquest going on, and the claims are going to continue to pile up for Persia. There's no doubt about that. Of course, they're going to have to keep an eye on a coalition. Right now, one cannot form, but anybody who's ever gone for like the true Arab Timur knows that aggressive expansion is definitely a problem, especially in a region that's got a lot of development like northern India. And the AI is actually playing it fairly smart, to be honest with you. They are using their estates intelligently and giving themselves some extra government capacity. They have up to 800 governing cap here, and it's only 1460. So they're doing pretty good with that. I'm actually surprised at how well they're managing this growth. But yeah, I'm sure that that will eventually slow them down, assuming that they keep growing. But like I said, between AE and governing cap, they're going to be kept in check early game, and that will allow the other nations around them some time to catch up eventually. Also, rip Byzantium. Meanwhile, up in the north, Novgorod getting munched on by the Muscovites, as well as the Danes. Apparently, they want in on a piece of that action. And somehow, the Teutons have taken a chunk out of Poland. I think somebody may have intervened in their war with Danzig, because they full annexed Danzig and then took a chunk out of Poland. So that's pretty interesting. They did not take the PU, so that is probably a bad thing for Poland. And I think it's only like a 10% chance. So it's really rare that they don't take that PU, but they didn't this time around, and good for the Teutons, I suppose. Meanwhile, the British are still heavily hanging on there in France. I don't know why, but I'm sure it won't last for too long. And sadly, the Emerald Isle is being consolidated very quickly by the British, about 15 years in on the game, and they're already just like dumpstering through them all. Well, we've got a nice big war going on over here in the European continent. Austria with a succession war over down here like Landshut or something like that. And they got the entire Kalmar Union plus Danish Russia going up against them. So quite a big war, though they are the emperor. So they're probably going to win, though they won't be able to siege down Copenhagen because galleys are overpowered in this game. Also, England is continuing to unite the Isles. They've even taken a nice chunk out of Scotland, and France has somehow not kicked them out of the mainland. No idea why. Burgundy popped like a zit, was inherited by Austria, I believe, and then given up or something along those lines. Either way, they gave up the lowlands, and now we've got some extra princes here. Though looking at the HRE, it does look like the Teutons decided that, Berlin was theirs. And now Brandenburg, with their 3-star general, Joachim Hector Holzendorf, is over here in Altmark, a 1-province minor. Very funny. The Ottomans are doing the Ottoman thing, pushing down into Levant all the way up bordering Jerusalem. So very early for them to be doing this, at least in my experience. But also Athens taking over Morea is super funny. I love to see a Peloponnesian nation here united. But of course, our main character over here, Persia, pushing along the Himalayas, continuing to do that. And now they are going to be taking a chunk out of Jaunpur by the looks of it. So that should be pretty good. Again, their aggressive expansion is pretty high with a lot of these people, though it has dissipated a bit over the past few years. I imagine if they take basically any of the land over here, though, it is going to trigger a big coalition, and the AI does try to prevent coalition, so we should see them doing okay, I think. The one thing that we got to be keeping our eyes out for is they are Sunni. They were Sunni in the beginning, and they will remain Sunni most likely. I actually think they were Shia originally, but then they were converted to Sunni or something along those lines. Either way, they are Sunni. They can go Zoroastrian via, I think, event through their mission tree. So we'll keep an eye on the religious map mode for sure. Austria doing a bit of subjugation over here for Hungary. Very cool to see. The Teutons pushing even more land, taking some land from Bohemia, I believe. So the Teutons are having a very good game, even pushing into the HRE. I don't know how this is working for them, but it is working and they're doing quite good. And then meanwhile, up in the north, the Swedes are getting rowdy. And I think Johann Vasa has made an appearance, and they are now, doing some independencing. My goodness. So Sweden has broken free and Denmark is in shambles. Sweden actually ate a large chunk of Norway, which is very funny. Meanwhile, Lithuania got ganked between the Teutons and the Muscovites, as well as Moldavia, apparently. And I don't think that they're going to be looking good after this. Even Livonia getting in on some of that action. Meanwhile, down in the south, the Ottomans, they actually pieced out. They were full occupying the Mamluks when I looked just a moment ago, and they took the Delta, apparently. AI feeling ballsy enough to take land that is not connected to their homeland, though I'm sure that their navy will allow them to transport their troops as they see fit. We do have a Zaporozhye over here, which is a really cool, rare tag. So shout out Zaporozhye. If you want to see a Zaporozhye run on the channel, make sure you let me know. Leave a comment down below. And also the Great Horde beating up on Kazan. The hordes are uniting, apparently. Persia has also pushed a bit into Iraq over here, eating some of the QQ lands. No big surprise there. And they continue to snake along, engulfing the entirety of the Himalayas, pushing into Tibet all the way into Nepal. So looking really good, but again, slowed down, I think, quite a bit because of aggressive expansion, but I'm sure it's not going to last forever. It's the 1480s. We do have Portugal and Castile over here in West Africa, as well as over in Bermuda. That is it for colonization so far. But I'm sure we will see plenty of it in the coming months. I'm sure we will. England continues their conquests, even pushing a bit more over here into Picardy. And it turns out that they actually got the Burgundian inheritance. I think I misread the event before. So that is definitely a thing over here. We have Venice conquering lots of land over here. Spain is united and pushing into the northern African regions. The Ottomans continue their dominance, this time pushing into the Balkans. And a new main character of the video, the Teutonic Order, doing really well. Maybe we might even see some horde action. That would be very cool. Austria's got some land over here in Carpathia, meaning they do have a personal union over Hungary, which we saw that war going on earlier. And meanwhile, Persia is kind of just chilling. I think that they maxed out their aggressive expansion early on, and they've just been kind of sitting there, though they have picked at a couple of pieces of land here. I think that QQ is a subject of theirs. And meanwhile, the Ottomans went with the Aeolite down here in Egypt, which I didn't know the AI would actually do that, but they did, and that is pretty cool. China going strong still, but Oirat definitely giving them that unguarded nomadic frontier sorts of vibes. Manchu has formed, and Yamana has united much of Japan, with Ashikaga kind of dotting throughout, but Yamana is indeed in control of Kyoto, making them the shogun. Also, Korea with exact 1444 borders. Perfection. The colonial game is heating up here in the Age of Reformation, with Portugal in the southern portions of the continent, Spain over here in the Indies, as well as in New Spain, as well as over in California. And the English are up here in Newfoundland, as well as setting up the 13 colonies. And yeah, I forgot to get rid of the natives this time around, so enjoy some laggy gameplay. 80 or so years in, we have Spain in the #1 spot, surpassing the Ming, who have not grown like at all. They also haven't embraced any institution. The Ottomans are the #2 great power. England is the #3, and Persia is #4. Though once they embrace institution, they will be up in the #3 spot, give or take, depending on whatever the Ming is capable of doing. We then have France, Ming, Muscovy, and then the Teutonic Order, the #8 great power with over 500 development. I'm very much a big fan of this, and I love it. And a few decades later, Russia is on the map. The Teutons are looking very good, with Poland basically down in like Volhynia or whatever this region is. Austria looking very, very good, with France making an appearance down here in Italy. Germany is absolutely in shambles, and the borders over here are just really weird. They won't annex Scotland, even though they very easily could. And then France has not taken any land from England, even though they probably easily could. I'm sure the diplomatic situation is looking a little strange. Also, Sweden looking a little strange. They took over a bunch of land. Denmark is a 1-province minor down here, though Russia is encroaching, so to speak. Spain continues their dominance, with the Ottomans continuing their dominance. And sadly, it does not look like the Persians are continuing their dominance. They have actually lost land since we last looked, I believe, or down in this area. And it looks like the Ottomans are teaming up with Transoxiana to lay the smackdown on these boys. So sadly, their head start doesn't look like it's paying off. They're not going to do much with it. Though I'm very happy to see the Ming over here continuing to be stable as they can be, with the Japanese forming and pushing over into Manchuria. Oirat looking very rough. Lots of rebel issues, but the Russians are about to give them a nice big hug, pushing all the way to Baikal, and I'm sure that they are going to end up annexing them in due time. Kiowa doing good down in Africa, with Jolof colonizing down here, as is the Portuguese and the Spanish. Very weird to see Jolof colonizing. I thought that that was not a thing that you would ever see, but we do see it. The Portuguese down here uniting the Incans under one single banner, with the Carib over here settling down. But yeah, South America is all Portugal except for a couple of French provinces and Curacao, which I think is technically South America. The rest is all Spain. Spain is doing very good on the colonial front, as is the English. They don't have much fighting going against them. And then Scotland over here with a couple of French provinces. So we definitely are seeing quite a bit of variation, and I am a big fan of that. Lots of variation in colonization, just like post-Phenom here with our new 1.1 update, New Horizons as we've called it, because it is about the colonial game, specifically lots of lands over here, lots of nations. So if you guys are interested in checking out post-Phenom, you should check it out. It's going to be linked in all the descriptions. Very fun mod. I made it myself, so I'm biased, but I do think it is pretty cool. Check out in the comments below if you're interested in some more information. I'm sure some people will drop some knowledge for you on post-Phenom. Now, I had my concerns that Persia wasn't going to be doing so good. Those concerns are now alleviated, mostly just because the Ottomans are going through some stuff. The year is 1686, the year of our Lord. The Ottomans are at -3 stability and are experiencing all of the disasters. They are not going to be doing well. They're probably going to collapse, and that leaves quite a big power vacuum for Austria, Spain, Songhai, and especially Persia to fill, and maybe these guys. France continues to not do much, with Great Britain doing well. And how about that freaking East Frisia? I always love to do it. Shout out Chio. He's like a longtime supporter of the channel. He's from East Frisia, and we loved making jokes about it. I love to see East Frisia doing well. Shout out East Frisia. Also, 1-province minor, Hainaut, or however that's pronounced, doing well over here. And Franconia has formed. Pretty cool. I do love Livonian Order with just 1 extra province, and aside from that, 1444 borders. It's a nice touch. Kind of like the Ruskies sweeping around here and taking Stockholm from the Swedes. Most of Sweden is Russian, and Norway is Sweden, I guess. So there you go. China has collapsed. That's not really a big surprise, but the Russians are here, and it doesn't look like they're going anywhere, eating up Oirat, like I just said a little bit ago. And Japan has actually even lost a piece of land over here in Hokkaido to the Russians. The Russians are down into Korea. Don't know what Korea did to deserve that. But yeah, it's very much looking to be a Russian game in the region over here, except for Taiwan, which is Turkish, I suppose. It would be very, very funny to see the Turks exile to Taiwan. I would really enjoy that. Australia has been colonized in almost its entirety by the Spanish, except for this one little province over here that is going to some natives. South America, barring a couple of provinces over here in Patagonia and up here in Guyana, Venezuela region, going to the French. North America, mostly going to the Spanish, splitting it with the British, and then apparently some natives down here are just holding out. But overall, the AI did a really good job of clearing out the natives. I didn't do anything to help them. This was entirely AI only, so good on them. So with about 140 years left in this round, Spain well out in front. Without their subjects, they're still a great power, even without them, so that says a lot. The Ottomans are a number 2 spot, though. We already know that they're about to fall. Great Britain and their colonies in the 3rd spot. Russia, with no subjects in the 4th, got to keep an eye on them. And Persia with a really great comeback up to 1700 development. Portugal in their colonial empire in the 8th spot. The Teutons climbing from the 8th. I think they had 500 development last we looked, so they grown by 1,000, with France underneath the Teutonic Order. Very nice. My goodness, there is so much to love about what's going on with this map. So much to love. Britain ended up growing in the lowlands, as well as South Germany, apparently, with France finally touching up their borders over here with a nice long border with Spain over into the Spanish Balkans, which is good. Bulgaria, Greece, mostly in Anatolia, not in Greece, with the Ottomans getting a nice big hug from the Teutonic Order in the north, Georgia, and then Persia over here. But without a doubt, my favorite one, Yas over here, the pink boy over here in Saudi Arabia, or Arabia, I guess, over here. And then the Mamluks have come back. I think that they were gone and they were released, and now they're here. Meanwhile, over here, it's all Portugal. Adal, Horn of Africa is pretty ugly. Kilwa, very big, but does look like the Portuguese are pushing them back just a little bit, with the Zulu popping out here with their bows and arrows. Very cool to see Malacca looking really good, and Majapahit going for that 100 million force limit. Shout out Zlevik. Persia pushed over into China. They decided India just wasn't worth the AE, and they ended up taking most of China and all the way down here into almost Bangkok. So a very good game for Persia. No surprise, but I actually was about ready to count them out early on when they were losing that war against the Ottomans. So I'm glad I didn't quite do it. Also, it looks like Russia got pushed back, mostly out of Russia now. They are primarily in Siberia with the bulk of their development over here on the other side of the Urals. Yarkand looking really big, and Manchu absolutely massive, losing half of Manchuria to Japan. So some beautiful, beautiful borders over here, except for Korea. I don't like those borders. Shout out Ming, still in control of Nanjing over here with Ming Mongolia as an exclave. Bengal hanging out here with Delhi, pushed out of Delhi by Gujarat, though they do still have Delhi, they just don't have the rest of their home region. And Vijay with almost perfect borders down here in the south. Almost. I see you, Balmanis. Somewhere along the road, Persia decided to switch to Shia. They were Sunni, but now they are Shia, which is pretty cool. Catholic and Anglican, the only religions over here for the most part, with some Reformed and some Protestant, but for the most part, it is like a very yellow Catholic world. Even the Orthodox boys over here, not feeling so good. I have absolutely no idea how this happened, but I'm sure that the Ruskies in chat are going to tell me how heretical this is. We've got a Catholic Russia, boys. Catholic Russia, just like basically an entirely Catholic New World, minus some Anglican stuff here and there, but very yellow, just like over in Europe. Culturally, Ruthenian, very, very big, as is Lithuanian, because you can see the Teutons spread a couple of provinces very far and wide. Brazilians decided to conquer South America, and the Mexicans up here in the north looking pretty good, but American and English also looking quite good, with American dominating the Canadian region, with some Scottish up there as well. Very nice. But personally, I'm a big fan of Mexican Alaska. That's got a nice ring to it. The HRE is still here, at least in name. It's still here. I didn't even realize that Austria was still here. They got bopped by the Teutons by the looks of it, as well as Franconia. I think Franconia is actually up here into Steiermark. So yeah, Franconia definitely owns some Austrian lands, and the Teutons own the rest. So very funny stuff. I'm a big fan. The development map of Europe is absolutely insane. Of course, you're going to have a lot of development in the provinces like in Italy or coal provinces. A lot of these provinces are coal. Portugal specifically has very nice development, which is pretty funny to see. And then Marienburg, over the capital of the Teutonic Order, a bastion, an absolute bastion in a land of kind of duty development that is Eastern Europe. India, Southeast Asia, and Malaya looking pretty dang good. And then China, and then Korea, because Korea is a very good tall nation. If you don't know, you definitely should play Korea. They are super fun. We finished the game with Spain, a #1 great power, followed by the Teutonic Order all the way up from 7th, which is super cool to see, just barely eking out Persia by a little over 300 development. And then a nice fall off to Great Britain, Portugal, Malacca in the 6th spot, Gujarat in the 7th, and Congo in the 8th. We've got basically every continent being represented here, and I am a big fan of that. We also have a military hegemon for the Persians stacking up, which is very nice to see. I am a big fan. Lots of fun making these sorts of videos. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, because you're missing out on a ton of content if you're not already subscribed. If you want early access to videos, exclusive roles and chats in the Discord, you can check out the Patreon or the join button below the video and become one of the homies. If you haven't already, checked out Post Phenom, you can check that out. It's going to be linked in the description below. And I thank you for making it this far into the video, and I really do hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.